the social groups of myself, Daniel Manaligot. And over here, we're going to go over parents, siblings, grade school classmates, college classmates, Filipino or Asian bubble, sports teammates, and athletes and sports fans. Two types of nerds, two different types of nerds. Some of them like all three. Others are more specific, which are the comic book fans and the anime and manga fans, teachers and coaches. So first off, we have the adults of the social groups. Basically, the parents, the teachers, and the coaches. They're often giving me life lessons as well as tips and skills needed so that way when I'm on my own, I know how to use these skills. I know how to utilize what they've taught me, and I also know how to look out for myself. Most times, they love me, they support me, especially the parents, of course. And some teachers do respect, and I do give respect to them, and in most cases, respect is given on to me. And oftentimes, whenever I'm having a hard time, I'm always looking for their advice, looking for their help, and sometimes, whenever I don't really ask for help, but I don't know what to do, they tell me to just ask for help from them every time and any time. Now, failure, it's not an option to fail. They accept failure, but they think that it's not going to get you anywhere. Anything that involves, this is just not great. Hates anything that involves screwing up. It's unacceptable because they know in my mind they have done that in the past, and in my mind they know what's better for me. So they expect even better from me, no matter what I've done or how bad of a grade it is. Often keep lecturing me and telling me what could I do to make myself better. Asking for help is one of them. Finding opportunities is one of them. They also encourage me to not be manipulated by other people. I mean, this comes into conflict with some of the friends that I hang out with, and sometimes the insults that I get from my brothers and cousins. But in most cases, they're telling me, you're your own man. If they taunt you, just ignore it. Don't let people manipulate you or use you to do something stupid, because that would fall back into failure, fall back into disappointments, which they're not really proud of. But with these guys, they're motivating me, they're helping me become better, a better athlete, and a better man. These are what these parents are doing. These are what these teachers and these are what these coaches are doing to help me. And sometimes they get into conflict with the Asian bubble because some of them have made wrong choices, and that's pretty much it on that end. This is the extension of the parents, the aunts and uncles, and the grandparents, or step parents or adopted parents. But these guys are an extent to me. I only had parents, aunts, uncles, grandparents. These guys are the extension of them. They often look out for me, and I often look out for them, respectively. They keep me from trouble, as well away from trouble, as well as keeping them away from trouble. They often ask me for advice and vice versa. Nothing was in conflict for these teachers, these coaches, or these parents because they are actually beneficial. There's nothing that goes into conflict with this part of the social group because because they're still family. They're still the extension of my family. Like, yes, these are two social groups that I do hang out with because, one, I love comic books, and two, I love manga and anime. Now, anime fanatics, they love to cosplay. Some of them take their character way too seriously, but not the ones that I know. These guys, they dress up for fun because, well, their character design looks cool, especially, and also the comic book fanatics sometimes. But some of them, don't have the body to play the character, but oftentimes they do love that superhero. Sometimes they wear a t-shirt like that. Well, in most of the time, people do wear it casually. Now, these guys aren't the nerds that you see from The Big Bang Theory. The ones in The Big Bang Theory are, most of the time, they're outdated. It's an outdated stereotype. Comic book nerds could also lift weights. They can also play sports. I've even met some of them which I'm going to explain on my next slide, that are athletes. I met one guy who's a big Spider-Man fan who happens to be a boxer. I've met a guy who is a CrossFit or bodybuilder, and yet he was a huge fan of Superman. Not every nerd is a weakling, dorky kid with sunglasses who wears bow ties, who wears the pocket protectors. Comic book fans or manga and anime fans could be the normal-looking people or the athletic-looking people, and that's the people I hang out with. Because, one, they often give me advice on how to lift right or how to eat right. Also, at the same time, they talk about how their favorite superheroes with me, and I enjoy that. They have certain types of music that is often good, and, in most cases, it's best to talk with these guys a lot. They do come in contact with the brothers and cousins in a nice way. And in that way, they're more open. And these two nerds are very nice people. You can't judge them just because they like a certain superhero or a certain Japanese cartoon character. And then sometimes with parents, there are those types of nerds who won't really leave my family alone. I know a few people, I'm not going to name names, but they stay at my house longer than I expected to, or whenever they get a call. But the reason being is because, one, they're playing one of my video games, or two, their humor isn't really funny to my parents. And in most cases, I had to tell them you have to leave. But oftentimes, nowadays, I often contact these guys on Skype. But most of these guys are nice people. And most of these guys that I've met, despite what they love in superheroes or in manga or anime, these guys actually do athletic stuff or do sports, which is surprising. Yep, next up are the athletes. These guys, these are the people who in most cases I do hang out with in the gym, or hang out with or seeing at school. They have a certain team or a certain athlete that they look up to, as well as, surprisingly, some of them have a favorite superhero that they also read when they were a kid. In most cases, it brings out the inner nerd in them, and oftentimes they talk about we talk about with it more in that comic book nerd social group, which complements the fact that they love these superheroes. They're not really much anime fans with the anime social group, in a good way, in a good hood mashup. They're also like young coaches, often giving me tips and techniques on how to throw a punch, or like in boxing, or how to shoot a hoop in basketball. These guys are also giving me dietary tips or health tips, just exactly like the coaches. There's no bad content whatsoever, besides the fact that some of them are former classmates of mine, and some of them did party a lot and all that stuff, and some of them do drugs. The partying a lot part isn't that bad though. However, the drugs thing, with the exception of steroids, just like smoking marijuana, doing some of these drugs, some of them quit being they don't really quit being an athlete, but they are athletes. They just still wanted to be. Some of them still wanted to stay fit, but at the same time, like, drink a keg of beer or whatever at a certain party and post it on Facebook or whatnot. Not naming names again, just to be clear. Old and new classmates. Old classmates, obviously, like my last slide on parents, since I have a military lifestyle, I knew these guys since middle school, the first time I moved here, which is back in 2005. These guys are not only my classmates, often getting a good education, but they're always working, partying, hanging out with other classmates or friends. Most of my old classmates, they did go to universities. Some of them, like myself, did stay because either of economic or social reasons. Most times they don't really come into conflict with parents, but they do often have completely different backgrounds, which is completely different religious point of views, different cultures, which is like different ethnicities, different political backgrounds, and they also come into conflict with the Filipino and Asian bubble, which I'm about to explain on my next slide. Some of them did live in a military background, and some of them are Asian, but with these guys, they also are my classmates. They are also my friends that I've known since middle school or known just recently. And they're here just like me, getting a good education in college as of right now, since graduation a year and a half ago. And like before, some of them are athletes and some of them are nerds. Some of them are, to be more specific, some of them are also comic book nerds, and some of them happens to be anime nerds or manga nerds. This is the biggest social group that I have in my social groups, especially with the Filipino social groups, which consists of family, which consists of my parents, my aunts, uncles, grandparents, my brothers, my siblings or cousins, And it also consists of some of the athletes who play sports for fun instead of playing competitively, of course. And then some of the athletes who do competitive sports, some of the Asian nerds a few Asian nerds who are comic book fans like myself, but most of them are into anime and manga, just like the anime and manga fanatics, and some of them are my classmates. Now, the guys who are my classmates, they're often the athletes who have the military. Few of them are in the military background, having a political point of view of a Republican. Always keep themselves fit, and they often get along with my brothers and cousins and classmates. Again, these guys are the guys I know since middle school. Some of them have different point of views. Some of them like superheroes, those just like the superhero fanatics. Some of them are Democrat, and they are completely different than most of the Filipinos that I hang out with. But these are the guys that this social group in particular is the biggest social group in this presentation.